Hello. So this video is a Twitter space organized by Wedwan and Yawamwako on surviving the Western education as a student from Africa. We do understand the fact that sometimes it's a bit difficult to assimilate the educational system from a new country. So in this video, we share some tips on how we were able to survive as international students from Africa in various countries around the world. It was a very informative session. So take your pen, paper, take notes, and enjoy the session.
Okay, right. So now we can take some questions quickly, and then we've spent quite some time. Then we can leave. So please request the mic and ask your questions. Contribute briefly.
Hi, which one?
Yes.
I guess I'm not going to have my say on this.
No, I'm sorry. I skipped. I'm very sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I think I would like to start off with, I'll say, one culture shock that I also realized was coming into grad school, and then I'll move into advice or lessons that I'll give to help people navigate studying abroad. One thing I realized coming into grad school was that everybody was either on a scholarship or a grant, and their full focus was on the research that they were doing. Nobody had a part-time job. Nobody had a side hustle. Their research was their job. Their research was their full-time job. Most of the times, when Africans, let me say, Ghanaians, go outside to study, even though as being an international student, even in Canada, you have the it's part of the, should I say, the package, in the sense that you can work now, exchange, you can work, I think 8 hours or 40, I think 8 or 10 hours a day. It's been extended, and which I'll say that is a good thing, where you'll be able to earn a bit of more cash. But then the issue is that with working part-time, it means that doing a research is a full-time job. When you're eating, you're thinking about that. When you're even sleeping, when I was doing my thesis, I was dreaming about what I was going to write, what I have to analyze. It became basically my 24/7. But one thing I realized is that this mentality of once you go outside, you have to find a job, even though you are on a scholarship, even though you are on a research grant that can take care of you. This kind of notion that you have to work. I even got backlash from my friends of, why don't you have a job? And I'm like, this is my job. It is my full-time job. Because one thing I realized is that when you have a part-time job, especially when you are coming from a developing country where you have to catch up, dividing your time. And I'm not saying that people haven't done it. There are so many success stories of people who work part-time and were able to finish. But then you have to, every quote doesn't fit everyone. One size code does not fit everyone. Me personally, I couldn't do that. I am not good at juggling things. Once I am focused on one thing, I'm going full steam. So it is one of the advices that I would say this would be my first advice, that if you are on a research grant, you are on a scholarship, and it's not a requirement, in the sense that you are not dying. If you don't get a job, you won't be able to eat. I will say that focus on the reason why you were there. You were not sent there. You did not get that scholarship to necessarily work. I started working during my last year at school as I was writing, because I was like, I just wanted some extra dollars to be buying some fancy meals, or when I go to a pub, I have some extra dollars to buy some beers, that kind of thing. It wasn't a requirement. And even the job that I took, I was an invigilator. It was totally low maintenance, because I had a thesis to write. So my first advice is that focus on the reason why you were there. If you need to work, then sure thing, go full steam, do that part time. But if it's not necessarily a requirement, don't pick up a 50 hours a week shift because you just want to make it. It totally makes no sense. Secondly, is that indeed imposter syndrome is real. I faced that during my first semester here, during when I came to Canada, being 3 weeks late, had to try to catch up. But one thing I would say is I had a good work ethic. I carried that work ethic that I had in Legon, and that's what propelled me. And I carried that into my grad school, because even though the first lecture that I took, that I could barely hear what the prof was saying, and I would say that I didn't really do well with the exams. But one thing I knew was that I was good at sitting down and doing research, whereby I had to write a paper. I knew how to sit down for hours to look through papers and um, um and and so I'll say research. So I'll say secondly is have a good work ethic, because the thing is that the system already is set up for you to fail, because you're already coming from a developing country, you lack some prerequisite skills. So you have to put in that extra effort. If you go there and say that, oh, it's going to be easy breezy like undergrad, you will fail. Grad school, especially, is totally different from undergrad. You have to put in that work. And thirdly, learn to ask for help. And that's one resounding that's been the resounding thing that all the speakers have said. In the sense that when I came here, I was like, as I said, imposter syndrome. I did not want to show my face that I did not know what I was doing. I I was stuck in my corner. I hardly spoke. I hardly asked for help. I think the only person who I asked for help was from my supervisor. I kept my head down. But then during the summer entry into the fourth semester, I had an awakening that I cannot live life like this, in the sense that I won't reach out to help people, to ask people for help. And one thing I realized about grad school is that everyone is faking it till you make it. People don't know what they are doing. Grad school is for you to fail, but then you learn from your failures. So there are people who run experiments that fail numerous times. I had one of my good friends run numerous experiments that didn't work out, until there was one which eventually did. And that's what grad school is all about. Because the thing was that I was living in a bubble that I did not want to be found out that I didn't know what I was doing. When in actual fact, that wasn't who I was. I would say that I'm an affable person. I crack jokes. I'm open. But because I didn't want people to think that I was a fraud, I was not smart enough. But in the actual fact, I was. And then at a point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask them most stupid questions. Even if in their eyes, they may say that, if you're in grad school, you should know this already. I was like, I don't care. I will ask the stupid questions. I will ask the most serious questions. I will ask, even if it's basic things that you should know, I would ask. I would call a friend and tell him that, you know what, I don't know how to do this phase equilibrium diagram. I'll buy you a beer, come into the office and teach me. So I would say that don't be afraid. Ask for help, reach out, don't be in your bubble. And then fourthly, what I would say is grad school and traveling outside is, I would say, it's an eye opener, in the sense you get to meet people from all over the world. It's a great form of networking. So even though you are there to study, take advantage of the people that you meet. Go out there for networking events, go out there for mixes. Even if you don't drink, when you get there, order for a glass of water or a club soda, but let yourself be seen. Because the fact that you are black already makes you stand out. So that's also your advantage, because once you are in a room full of white people and you're already the black person in that room, when you meet that same group of people somewhere else, they will remember you. But you can only be seen if you get out there. And I'll say that in come and finishing school with this whole job hunting and all those kind of things, the various mixers and networking events I've gone to and seen the same people. They remember me because, well, yes, I'm black, but then they also remember me because I always wear bright colors, so that you remember me. I'm always in a red shirt or in an orange shirt. And then my hair is also kinky and I love red. So my shirts be red, my lipstick be red. And then I ask questions. I make sure that I left an impact on you. That when you see me again, if you may not remember my name, you remember that, oh, I said something, or I was that late, because there was one person who said that, wait, I know you from somewhere. You are in that red shirt. So you have to find a way to make yourself stand out, especially when you are in these mixes and networking events, because there are thousands of people clamoring, trying to find a job, trying to make a connect. So you have to find ways that will make you stand out. And once you have this opportunity to leave the motherland and to come into this foreign space, you have to leave an impact. Don't just go through the school. The school should go through you. And that is something I learned from Achimota. I'm a proud Akora. But I will say that let that be a motto for you. Let the school go through you. Don't just say that, oh, I just went to this school and that was it. You should leave an impact. No matter, even if it's small, even if you are an introvert, you are reserved, try your best to at least come out of that your bubble. At least find a social a circle of people who you are comfortable with, and make sure that you leave an impact on them. And to be honest, that's what has been my coping mechanism here in Canada. I left an impact on people, and even though I may not be in the girl anymore, anytime I go to my department, they remember me because I left an impact there. So that would be my advice, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. How could I have missed you? I think
you did. Oh, you did.
I think I missed you. I was about to miss you for a second time, I guess. So sorry.
No problem.
Whenever you say McGill, I remember one of the students we helped to study for his master's, and now he's in McGill doing his PhD. Derek Dagbadi. He's doing biomedical engineering or something like that. So I have a footprint in Miguel. All right, let's go to the questions. Prince, you can ask your brief question and then they'll give you a brief answer. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Hi everyone. Good evening. It's 9:27 p.m. in Accra, Ghana. So Kekele, I didn't know you were in Montreal. I was in Montreal in July. Well,
Oh, is that so?
oh yeah, I returned in August. We could have linked up. Anyway,
Yes.
I plan on coming around later this year or something. Yeah. So I might stop by. Anyway, so a quick one. I want to know how easy or difficult is it to pass like your exams over there? Comparing kind of educational system here in Ghana to the educational system over there. How difficult or easy is it? Because you'd realize, so I also attended KNUST. So myself, Barbara, and then yourself, it's looking like it's a KNUST thing. You realize that even for our grading system, we do the CWA, the cumulative weighted average, rather than the grade point average. And KNUST's grading system seems to be one of, let me say, maybe the lowest, because to even get an A is from 70 to 100, and then a B is from, I think, 60 to 69. How easy or difficult is it to actually pass? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Just a quick point. Working with students for some time now and working with transcripts, I've realized that students from KNUST tend to be disadvantaged. I may be wrong, but from my experience, you tend to be disadvantaged because you are giving the raw score. I mean, in percentages, right? Unlike University of Ghana and other universities where you are scaled on a 4.0 or 5.0 scale, it's a relative scale, so you can't get the exact score. So when somebody has a first class and the person has 3.7, and you also have a first class and you have a 70%, it might be seen as a downside. Those of you from KNST can answer Prince's question and also touch on what I've just said. Maybe Barbara could help us with that.
Okay. I don't think it's a disadvantage. So that's why when you're submitting your transcript, you also submit like what these ranges mean. So you submit 70 to 100 is this. And one thing, like if you feel it's a disadvantage, it's also very important that during in your statement of purpose, you explain what, like, I graduated top 5% of my class, I graduated top 10% of my class. So even though you feel is low, as far as it's the top 5%, that means your grades are good. So what you can do is you include the statistics, you include the class ranking, because let's say even if it's you include the so like in front, so that's it. There is a scale that explains what your grades are. I've never experienced the fact that I've been at a disadvantage with regards to my transcript. So this is the first time I'm hearing of it, so I've not really thought of it. But I don't. If you feel it's a problem, you just write. You give the statistics of where you fall within your graduating class. And when it comes to how hard or easy it is, in France, the scale was over 20, so the highest was 20. And it's like when you're even writing the exams, you're just praying to get 10. When you write the exams, if you get 13, like you've done really, really well. So it was hard, but as I said, for me, it was hard for me because it was different. But now I know that if I go back, like I'm going to get really, really high scores because I understand the system, I understand how it works. Like with our undergrad, like we have 4 years to figure out how the system works. We have a lot of time to figure out how the system works, and with that, you prepare yourself for how the system works. But there's the case where you have just 6 months to figure out how the system works. You have 6 months to figure out how to settle in a different country. You have 6 months to meet new people. So that's why it was difficult. It wasn't, but like I think for every place, I think with time you just figure it out. Because here in Canada, I thought that it was very easy, but maybe also it was easy for me because now I have a lot of experience, so I could build on my experience to get good grades. So your question is a bit dicey, it's a bit difficult to answer on how easy or difficult it is because it's an individual thing. Some people are so good that it's so easy for them. And even with this, I just remembered a story. So the education system was so hard for me that at a point I had a friend who wanted to come to my school to come study that same program. There were periods where I was so depressed. So I sent my friend a message Charlie, I don't think you should come and do this program. I don't think this program is worth it. It was because it was whooping my ass. But with time, when I figured it out, I realized that, it's not that hard. So I went back to my friend. I was like, you know what I said? Forget it. If you really like this program and you really want to come and study it, you should come because maybe I didn't figure it out, but somebody will figure it out. So it's a bit difficult for me to answer whether it's hard or easy. It's an individual. It's an individual thing. And once you figure out how things work, just like in life, it becomes easy for you. Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Sure, thanks.
Okay. Ebenezer, you could go ahead. Okay, but before that, I think Selassie want to contribute. Go ahead, Selassie.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to build on Barbara's point about KNUST and then transitioning. I had the opportunity to start out at KNUST, did 2 years at KNUST, like I said, and then I moved to the States. I think the most significant difference, and I don't know if it's the same throughout the school, was the number of opportunities to make up grades. And I think it's pretty much the same in the master's programs because I'm about to take both master's and PhD courses, and I realized that there's a lot of cumulative work. There are a lot of opportunities to build your grade throughout the semester. So you have your projects, you have your homework, you have your group work, you have your test, you have your finals. Some classes may not even have actual finals, just a project, but there are various ways of actually making up that grade. Albeit the grading system would be the same, 90 to 100, which is typical for most schools. I think that the difference is in the number of ways to make those grades up. And I don't know about other places, but over here it's very common to actually tell to use class attendance as a way of giving grades. So you can even get 5% of your entire grade from just attending classes. So it's relatively simpler to build up the grades to actually pass a class or do well in a class, but you actually have to put in the work. There's an onus on you to submit your assignments on time. There are a lot of deadlines you have to keep up with. So that also comes with its own burden, but that's one thing I have noticed, and that's a difference that I would say between KNUST and then most schools outside the country. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Ebenezer, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good evening from Ghana. When one of the speakers was speaking, he made mention of the fact that they have to send emails to some of the professors, and then she had to do it during this. She did it during the summer. And she actually realized that was the time that the professors were on the field. So my question is, how will you advise us to send cold emails to professors in Canada? Some of us have sent emails to them and we've not gotten replies from them. The second question has to do with Canadian immigration. I think Barbara and Kekeli mentioned something about that. I'm wondering, you guys have scholarship to go and study, and also you had professors who are willing to admit you into their program. So what actually is the issue? I think you should have it easy, but maybe I'm wrong. So if you can advise us on what the issues are and what we should do. Thank you.
I'll like to tackle the immigration bits first, which I said I was going to talk about, but I totally forgot. I will say that going to, well, and I stand to be corrected, going to the UK and to the US, especially if you are going there to study, all you need is, and this is based on my friends who have gone to the UK, but I don't know about the US. All you need is that once you have your offer letter, within a week or even less, your visa should be in. Your study visa should be in, and then you just go. But one reason why I was also late to school was the fact that my study visa didn't come in on time. Even though I put in my application early and I went to the High Commission, I presented my the offer letter and all those kind of things that showed that I had the funds. All my paperwork was intact. They saw that, but then it still dragged. Canada immigration, I don't. I would say that it is not your doing. Even when you apply on time, they drag their feet. The bureaucracy is long. The wait periods are long. Even when my parents, I applied for my parents to come to my convocation, they couldn't make it. Even though I attached a letter from my supervisor and I attached a letter telling them that they are coming there for the convocation at this time. We need it as soon as possible. Even up to now, this was in October, even up to now, and this is how many months? 4 months. We still haven't seen the visa. So the issue is that Canada immigration is just painstakingly slow. So I don't know how they're going to do this World Cup. It won't be like the Qatar one that you can just get up and just go. It will be a struggle. But I will say that it is on no fault of the applicant or anything. It's just that the Canadian system is slow. You can't unless they make changes because as you rightly said, if all your paperwork is intact, the school has accepted you, within a week you should be out of the country. But it took me a good 1 month or about 6 weeks. And I applied for this. I was supposed to start school January 7th. I got there on the 21st. But I did all my applications in December. Or wait, when that in November actually. So it's just the bureaucracy. And then in terms of getting the supervisor to reply to your emails. This is why I said a bit of luck and God's grace has to be on your side because they get thousands of emails, hundreds of emails. So you have to. So that's what I'm saying. A bit of luck has to be on your side. And I'll say this was my experience because especially when you need it's a thesis based program, you need your supervisor to take you on first. Um, Sometimes you have to find other avenues to get their attention, and as I said earlier, what I did was to get an aunt to call him. So getting the supervisors to reply to your emails, I think it has to be a bit of luck unless unless it was a program that was publicized. So there may be that there's a professor who has a bit of grant money and needs a PhD or a master's student to work on a project. Most of the times that is much more easier for they'll reply to you promptly because they need somebody to start work on that. But then if you are like in my case, I just said, I know what, I'm ready to do my master's. I'm just coming to apply. That is the tricky aspect. But when is the university or is the professor that is putting out this I'll say this alert or whatever, that they need someone, they will reply to you promptly. So maybe Barbara can give you the more tricks and ins, but this was my experience.
Yeah, that's basically what Kekeli said. And I also start with the Canadian immigration. For me, it wasn't that it was a problem with my documents or anything. It was I applied during the COVID, and I was also the wait time was not even a problem for me because I wasn't in a rush to come because it was winter and I wanted to escape. My issue with the immigration system, it was more of getting from Ghana, like once I had my visa, moving from Ghana to Canada, like there were a whole lot of problems, and that's a story for another day. And recently I went to Ghana, and when I came back, actually at the where you go take your luggage, they bring dogs to come and smell your things. Like I thought I was in the movie. Like which one is the dogs all over the place? So the immigration is really really tight. But once you have your documents, it's not a problem. My problem was moving from Ghana to Canada. That was where my issue is. And when it comes to the code emails, timing is very important, as Kekeli rightly said. During summer, almost everybody is on holidays and nobody is going to respond to you. The best time to send your email is March, like between March, April, May. That's a really good time. And also, like, they're not responding to you because before they can take you on, they have to pay you. So if they are not having money, like they are not taking on students. And most of the time too is the content of the email you are sending, especially even the subject line. Like they receive tons of mess emails from all over the world, not just you, all over the world. Everybody is sending them emails. And obviously they have a life. They can't, like being a teacher, like it comes with a lot of responsibilities. They can't use their whole day. Even because I have a YouTube, like sometimes I can receive average like 30 emails a day. And I can't sit down responding to all those emails because I obviously have a lot of things to do. So sometimes it's your subject line. Like for somebody to even want to click it is a subject line. So if the subject line is it's not even convincing enough, like they will not click it. Some people to what they do is they will collate all the emails and put them in a folder. When they have money and they are willing to take students, they will go into that folder, read and reach out to people who they feel they can work with. So if you are not receiving feedback, it's part of the game. And I've actually made a video on how to write these cold emails to increase your chances. So I'll put it as a comment in the group, and you can try it out. But not receiving a response like it's actually part of the game. So you just move on. Thank you.
Nice. I'd like to give my 2 cents on writing the emails. What I've realized over the years is that we generally don't know how to write emails. It's as simple as that. And especially with these chat apps, WhatsApp and other chat apps, we've turned ourselves into informal Homo sapiens. So whenever we contact people, even when we don't know them, we are very informal, and we don't know how to write, structure a simple, sweet, straightforward, formal email. I've received so many emails that are like, "Yo, I need you to mentor me to the transition into tech," or somebody goes like, I mean, it's no head, no subject line, nothing. And my team that I work with on the study abroad stuff, you ask people to send emails and they want you to give them WhatsApp number. They don't want to write emails. So this is a subject that needs to be treated separately one day. How to write cold emails properly, how to get the attention of whoever you want to contact, your professor or whoever. And then also, there are other ways to reach people when you think that they are they're having so many emails that they cannot respond to you. One thing you can do is when you go to the professor's page on their website, you are likely to see sometimes they show opening hours where they have students consulting them or whatever. And sometimes you may also see phone numbers. Look, you can call. It doesn't hurt to call. You send an email, you call on a follow-up that I sent an email request asking for this and that, and I know you are busy, but I was wondering if blah, blah, blah. Even if it goes to the secretary can connect you or can give you some further information so that you know why your email has not been responded to. You can go as far as sending fax messages. If there's a fax on the website, you can send a fax. That shouldn't be the first thing, but you send an email, you follow up with a call, you follow up with a fax. Do not spam them. I'm not saying you should keep pestering them, but let your email be very short and straightforward. What you don't tell your history about your grandmother in the village who taught you how to do this and that. You had passion for this because of you're not writing an SOP. You are writing for a request in looking to be accepted into a research team or whatever. Be straight and succinct. Go straight to the point. Do not overwrite and do not and try to be as formal as possible. Right. So I have Mark Jordan. Please go ahead.
Can I just before I just remembered when you were talking?
Yes, go ahead.
One thing you could also do is professors have graduate students. So if you send an email to the professor and they don't respond, it's easier for a graduate student to respond to you. So you could send an email, hey, hello, like I sent an email to this, I'm looking for opportunities in this research group. Or even before you send the email, you could send maybe to their master's students or PhD students on their website, so that time you can see the names of their masters and be like, hey, I want to work in this research group. Do you think your professor has an opening, or can you even put in a word for me? That also helps. So, or you can follow up to the graduate, like, can you talk to him and see? Because I think was the last 2 years, my professor was looking for a student, and it was like, oh, when I go to Ghana, if I find somebody who I feel is good, I could recommend the person. So when they need people, they also talk to their graduate students. So that could also be an avenue where you could use to reach whoever you want to reach. Yeah.
Exactly. I've done this a couple of times for people. Yes, thanks for bringing this up. Mark Jordan, please go ahead.
Hi. Good evening, Barbara. You literally just made the point I was about to make regards to.
I'm sorry.
But no, but it's okay. So on the cold email, Ridwan, I think it's important for us to do the cold email, craft it in a way that it will catch the eye of the professor. What I've advised a lot of students coming into Canada to do is to look for a Ghanaian or Nigerian or wherever you're coming from, look for a student who is in that school who can literally reach out to that professor by going to the professor's lab and having an audience with him on your behalf. There's nothing wrong with that. You are literally just looking for audience with the professor. Also, before doing that, you should find out from this professor or just do your own research about the professor's research that he's working on and pitch an idea to him. Luckily, we have ChatGPT. You can put prompt into ChatGPT today that will suggest research ideas that you can pitch to this professor that you would like to work on. And by just that, he will be able to look at your cold email and respond to you. So the graduate student approach is great. The TA student approach is also a very good one. If you have a student in the school that can literally help you with that, it's also a great resource. Use these three approaches. Again, don't spam them. I came to the University of Alberta, and one thing for sure, and I happen to work with the IST team, which is a particular email address, more than 3 times, it gets flagged. It is considered as a spam. So you always have to change the heading of your email, change the body to at least look like it is a new email you're sending. There are a lot of email rules that have been set up to sort of sieve out chaff from a chunk of the emails they receive. So if you adopt these 3 strategies, you should be able to come up with a nicely written code email with bullet points of the kind of research project you would like to undertake under this professor. Also, state the skill set you have. If you can write grants, you are a good asset to any professor who's looking for funding. So when you can write grants, when you can write proposals to win grants, this professor or supervisor would definitely consider you for their research program. That is another approach. On the Canadian immigration backlog, I work with the government, and I can tell you for a fact that there's a lot of backlog, but they are doing their best to clear it, because during the pandemic, a lot of people decided to work from home due to their situation. And after a lot of offices opened, people felt the need not to come back to work because they were still receiving their stimulus checks and all of that. And that became a really big problem. So you realize there are like tons of applications log that are currently pending, and they've been assigned to people who literally are not returning back to work, because now the hybrid system is not really working for a lot of people. So it could be that you've been assigned to maybe Mr. Smith, but Mr. Smith has decided to work from home, but his supervisor is saying, no, you can't work from home, you have to come to the office. So there's that sort of conversation going on now between federal workers and their supervisors. So I would say if you really want to come to Canada for graduate program or whatever at the moment, I think you should start doing your research, trying to get a school you want to go. Unfortunately, there are no many international scholarships for international students trying to come to Canada. You might be lucky with scholarship from U of T, McGill. If you're lucky, you can get a MasterCard Foundation scholarship from McGill. U of A, which is University of Alberta. If you're coming for a nursing program, you might qualify for the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Program for African students. University of Calgary, I don't know much of their scholarship, but there are a lot of internal scholarship that you can benefit from, merit-based scholarship that you can benefit from if you are able to come into the system. And I'm going to say this one again. If you're able to come into Canada, you have made the best decision of your life. Let me say this again. If you're able to come to school in Canada, you have made the best decision of your life, because one, you are not just coming for education. You come into Canada with at least, you come with your skill set. You transition from being a student into a permanent resident. That is if you really want to stay. And it will take you less than 3 years for you to become a citizen. This is fact. So I know a lot of people are talking about the UK, about the US and all. If you're looking for scholarship, focus on the US. If you're looking for a pathway to become a citizen of another country, I will tell you for a fact it is Canada. Within 3 to 4 years, if you put your feet down, you study, you maintain your grade, you pay your taxes, and you literally live a very quiet life where you don't have any run with the law, within 3 to 4 years, maximum 5 years, you should become a Canadian citizen and literally just enjoy all the opportunities that are available for Canadians, just like everyone else. So please reach out to students, reach out to people that are in Canada, and figure out how you can get in here. One thing I want to also emphasize on is a lot of the universities have African and Caribbean student associations. If you can get in touch with any of these people or presidents or like any of these leaders, they can be able to be of help, because they are seen as student leaders who run clubs and stuff like that. They can be able to speak to some of these professors on your behalf. But please, your cold email is the most important thing. Use ChatGPT, draft several of them, turn it around, make sure it feels like a human that has written it, and just send it along. Yeah, you can even do a presentation, a PDF presentation of the idea or the research idea that you would like to pitch, and just send it to this professor or their graduate student for them to take a look at. That's all I want to add. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the in-depth, points that you have given. And by the way, Germany is also one of the best places to be. It's not only in Canada. There are other benefits. You can go to school as much as you want. You're not going to pay any fees. And I have Kweku and I have been speaking about this. He's been in Canada before, and he ran back to Germany. So yeah, you need to test the waters to be able to come to that conclusion. Yes, but of course, once you are in Ghana and you need to, depending on what you want to do, yeah, you could choose either of these countries and go for school, go for work, get your make attempts to get permanent residency and citizenship if you want that. Today we are talking about how to survive Western education, given your African education background. In most cases, you have some loopholes, cultural shocks, and all that. How do you catch up with the speed of the lectures, the courses, vis-a-vis or in juxtaposition to your previous education? You've done extensive talking about this already. Ransford, go ahead, please.
All right, thank you very much. Please, I'm Ransford from Ghana. I just graduated this year from a university with a BSc in computer science. I wanted to say something small about what Mark Jordan said. I could remember that was when I was in third year. I contacted a professor from his university, that's University of Alberta. His name was Professor Matthew at the Department of Computer Science. He was the lead for a particular lab. So I contacted him on whether there is opportunity for me to apply to his lab to work as a lab assistant or something like that. By then, he told me that he replied my mail and was like, currently they are not taking new students, but he will alert me when there is a need. I waited for him to date. I haven't heard anything from him. So I wanted to ask whether it is in the right way to write to him, trying to kind of reminding him of what we discussed some time ago, though it's about a year now. Then another thing is, do I always have to publish a paper before I'm able to get, let's say, an opportunity as a research assistant when applying for a graduate school? Because I contacted a professor from one of the schools in Australia, and she was like, I should send her a copy of the paper I've published to see whether she will be able to work with me. I have that experience in research and all of that stuff. But for the one at the University of Alberta, I think I'll have to contact you, Mark Jordan, so that you see how you can help me with that. I have his mail. I have everything about him. We had conversation on mails, and the only problem was that by then uh, there were no opportunity for students, incoming students, or taking new students. So he was like, he will give me any update in case they need a new student. But I've waited for him up till now. I haven't received anything from him. So I don't know whether I'll be in the right direction trying to remind him or writing to him again, trying to let him know that maybe some years ago I wrote to him about opportunity and those stuff. That's my question. Thank you. Then, Mr. I read one. I messaged you on Twitter and you said I should send my transcript to you. I sent it to you through email, but I don't know whether you've received it. It's just a humble reminder. Thank you.
Yeah, Edward, thank you. I've seen your transcript. I've gone through. Normally, what I do is I try to give you very detailed recommendations, and if I've not responded to you yet, it means that I am still thinking of the options that are available to you. I've seen your transcript, and I have a fair idea of what you can do and what perhaps you may struggle to be able to do. I'll respond to you. Mark, could you answer?
Yes. What's the name? Is it Ransford? Yeah. So, Ransford, there's nothing wrong with you reaching out to this professor to remind him of an email that you sent him maybe a year or two ago about looking for assistantship or a research assistant position in his lab. I think you should have emailed him earlier or to just follow up. My email is in my blog. You can, I can give it to you now. There's nothing wrong with that. MJ at McJordanG.com. Just send me a DM and I will send you my UAlberta email. You can forward you can forward the request to me, and I'll see if there's anything I can do by following up, or just sending him an email on your behalf, and see where it goes from there. I can't promise anything, but I'm only going to follow up with him to understand if there's any opportunity, like, or even if he remembers you or anything like that. I think there was a second question about U of A. Are you still looking to come to the U of A for a computer science? Are you trying to come in for a PhD or a graduate program? That's the question.
Please, a graduate program.
Okay.
It's one of my dream schools. I've been using it on my status all day long. People used to laugh at me.
Don't worry, you will come.
Charlie,
Don't worry, you will come. So if you don't get into the computer science graduate program, there are a few other programs. There's the masters in the Masters of Arts in Communication Technology program, which is the MACT. That actually is a research program. So you focus on new technology and social media and communication in today's world and how to do that. That is one of the courses that's one of the programs that I did. So I would say, just send me a DM of your email address, and I'll send you a bunch of information. And who knows? I can mentor you for you to get into UL better. I do these things for free. I don't charge anybody. I'm just hoping that somebody will take this up and just, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mark.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think we've really have a very interesting discussion today. Who else is requesting to speak? Okay, one last speaker, and then Ni, go ahead and ask your question. Papa Ni, you could unmute yourself.
Okay, so thank you. Good evening to everyone. Ridwan and McJordan, thank you very much. I must say that this evening, everyone who is on this, platform tonight is being blessed. I want to say something on a new red flags concerning emails. This thing cost me some years, 3-4 years back. I had the opportunity to email one professor from the University of Liverpool. We were talking, but I realized that at the point he stopped replying my messages, and I got to know the cause of him not replying my message after 3 years. You see, the techniques in writing a catchy email. I think, Ridwan, what you said you would do, I think you should do that, and then get the young ones and even people like us to really sharpen our skills in writing emails to these professors. And then
they don't like it. They don't like it. It's not about Chatawale, so they're not gonna. Very few.
Okay. And then another thing too, I want to. This one is a humble plea. That I know of brothers and sisters who have HND and graduated with a good class. I don't know if you can organize a session for them, how they can maybe do a top up or do undergrad or masters with it. And then I know a couple of guys, both male and female, who are also good, but I think, Ghanaian education system has got some kind of ups and downs. But a humble suggestion to, if you can do something on progression routes to undergraduate, and I think it has pre-masters or something like that too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you
Let me just a quick one, then you can come along. But I'm sorry. One quick thing I would like you to know is, in Europe specifically, the bachelor's degree is 3 years, right? So if you have an HND, it is possible. If you have a good HND, it is possible to read a master's degree straight. As I said, we've worked on a couple of applications, and I've come across some of these things in the past. So yes, it is possible, and I think it will be nice to host a space on that as well. So I'm noting that down. How to go and study for a master's degree with an HND. Yesterday in my workplace, at my workplace, someone applied to work there, and the person happened to be Ghanaian. And when I went through his application, I went through his profile, I realized that he had an HND, and then he went to do a master's degree straight. So this is possible. If you have an HND and you do your bachelor's degree in Ghana, and you want to do a master's degree, it even also make your application even stronger. So yes, this is possible, and we'll find time to speak to this as well. Barbara.
Yeah, Papani, you said like 3 years afterwards you realized the mistake you made, but I didn't hear the mistake you made, so I'd like you to mention that if that's okay with you.
I think Mark Jordan mentioned that some of the professors, you see, when mailing them, you have to change the subjects and then make it look like it's from a human being or that sort. My mind didn't go that extent. I thought once I have written the first email and he's replied, then the next one I kept typing, and then I click on reply, and then straightforward reply, and then reply. So I got to know this after 3 years that no, that it doesn't work for some of them. Some of them, they treat that as a scam or a fraud, something. Thank you.
Still a bit confused. Is it that like for every conversation you had, you started the email again? I thought like it was like once you've had your first email, so most of them you were just replying a conversation you've already had.
Okay, so it started this way. Okay, I sent an email, he replied, but I needed more clarification. So on another subject which I am supposed to carve or write another email. I mean, whilst doing the inquiry, you would have to, because he answered, and then I needed to get to another information. So I kept on typing reply, even when the new mail I'm sending has nothing to do with the first one, which was answered. I just keep hitting on reply, and then send, reply, send. Example, like I ask of, let's say I ask for a progression route, and then it's been explained fine. And then I want to ask of, let's say you have a BSc, you want to divert to another program. I don't do that. I click on reply and then send.
Okay, if I understand correctly, I don't think that should be a problem. I think what maybe I beg to differ, maybe he was explain, but if you are continuing the same email, I don't think it's marked as spam. Is if you start the email again, so like a new title, it's like you are sending an email for the first time. I think that's where there is a problem. But if it's one email and you keep on replying and having conversation through it, I don't think that's a problem, because we do that a lot with each other. Like once I send an email, I reply. Maybe I beg to differ. Maybe like Mark Jordan, if you could explain with regards to the scam, because the spam, that's what I understood. Like you start the email with the title and head, you send another email, like a new email with the title and head, and that's what is flagged as a spam.
No. So I think in this particular case, it may be just maybe this professor just didn't decide to go ahead with communicating with you, because there's nothing wrong with replying to emails, because there's an email chain that is going to follow and make references to as the conversation progresses. But what I meant by drafting new emails to these professors is if you send a cold email to me as a professor and I don't respond to you and you want to reach out to me, if you send the same email to me again with the same headline and you do that for 3 times, I'm speaking about the U of A, it will be regarded as a spam and it will go into his junk mail. No professor goes to look for mails in their junk mail. They don't even have the time to do that. So my advice is if you send one cold email with the subject heading about you trying to find out more information about the project he's working on and pitching an idea to him, and he doesn't get back to you, redraft that email with a different header altogether, wait a few days and send it again. You can either add importance or urgent to it or something. Those emails get, because we use Gmail, at least you see those emails being grouped under maybe importance or depending on the kind of setting they have in their inbox. It will get grouped in a way that they can actually filter and read. Third email, same approach, but don't do it more than 3 times. Adopt a new strategy, get someone to reach out to him or call him at his lab and speak to him on your behalf or something, or book an appointment with him to speak to him on your behalf. When they see that you are persistent, you're somebody who is really trying to get your attention, eventually they'll give in and either respond to you. But a long chain of emails that you've had with him, I don't think that's grounds for him to not communicate with you going forward. So maybe it might be something you probably missed out or something. And also, if you should email him asking him about career options and all of that, I don't think he will have the time to advise you on career change and career progression and things like that. He's probably the wrong person you should be talking to. Career progression conversations should go to maybe somebody, look, if you're looking to maybe someone in HR, someone, or like an education advisor, somebody who's generally into education and things like that. That is what I believe should be able to speak to for you to know about your career progression on a particular course. Like, for example, you were taking, maybe your background is in computer science, but you want to venture into what human computer interactions, and you want to speak with a professor who is in that particular program. I think you should already read about the career progression in HCI and what you'll be able to become after that program. This professor does not need to tell you what you become after you join his lab. It's a waste of his time. This is how I see things from that point of view. I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. One thing I also deduced from your question and your experience was that it is likely you, as Mark said, you were sending the email like a chat, in my opinion. So you ask one question, the question is responded to, you follow up with another question, and in most cases you should have done your homework already, right? And this is very typical of Ghanaians. They ask you a question, you answer and say, so can you do this? Meanwhile, you might have already said that thing already. You should do your homework and ask questions that are not answered already on the website. If you ask questions that are on the website, it shows that you're not a graduate student that can do your own research. You are not serious with what you want. You don't want to take the pain to research before asking your questions. And you should be matured enough to be able to know, handle things on your own. So when you're sending emails, ensure that the email is very short and it asks specific questions. If you have a number of questions, make sure you put them all in one email. Try and make it as short as possible. Funnily, we have ChatGPT now, as Mark said, and we have said this already in at the earlier stages of the space. You can use that to also draft a much more succinct and straightforward email, and I believe they would respond to you. Make sure that your questions are related to what they are doing and not something which is outside of their work, something which is very, very general. That what is the career progression? I would not even answer, not think of a professor who is very busy. All right. So, yeah.
I wanted to add something. regards to the chat, please to draft emails, copy and paste and use exactly. Because these are what that means is that most of them given back. It's like so it's more or less like guys, once you is also using it. After like about same email, and when that happens, to do the work, so that's a minus work. You should use it as to yes, so again, so try write it yourself as Mark. You have to they have to take this, you work with it, try and but it's exactly and paste like the chance it's you the chances of getting a response will also be very less because a lot of people are not willing to do the work. So a lot of people are going to send the same thing over and over again. And professors will detect that there's a trend that people who are sending emails to them are following a certain trend. So they realize, okay, you don't do the work. So even if you are using these tools, it's very important you also do the work yourself. Yeah.
All right, so we are going to really spend time on this email thing. I think it's something that it's really bothering a lot of people, and it's a real issue. So unfortunately, when we were growing up in our schools, I believe everyone did it. I mean, we write, we were taught how to write emails. So letters, formal letters and informal letters, and this can be transferred to writing emails. Emails are letters, actually. Digital letters, right? Virtual. So it's really important. Let's try and avoid the unnecessary being polite, unnecessarily polite. Everything is please, sir. Everything is please, and the message has got 1,000 pleases in it. Speak as an adult politely. Learn how to use words that amounts to being polite, and not necessarily saying please, sir. So how you don't write an email or a message like you're speaking. It has to be very formal, and please doesn't make things formal, right? The way we use please is a direct rendition of our local languages, right? This is not how English is spoken. When you're speaking English, you don't say so much please. So how do you do please? So yesterday I sent you a message, please. So no, it doesn't make sense in English. So let's try as much as possible to learn how to write emails. Avoid the pleases. It makes your message sometimes boring and annoying. And I'm glad each one of you have stayed close to over 2 hours. We've been here. I'm very, very happy that you all joined. You could follow the speakers. You could follow myself. I talk mostly. I like to speak about tech, transitioning to tech, helping people to get into software development, software engineering. Very soon, Selassie, David, and I will be starting something on other aspects of software or technology, which is not only our software. We'll be talking about hardware. We're talking about electronics and semiconductors and security on all these areas, how to get into these areas and the deficit that is there. So we are going to do a lot of stuff. You could follow me. You could follow Selassie. Selassie is one of our speakers. I think he dropped at him. And feel free to send a very short email. A very short DM. And don't say hi and just go away. I'm not going to respond because I may not have the time to do that. I'm sorry. And yes, I'm glad you all spend time with us. I would let our speakers give 25 seconds of closing remarks, and then we move on. We bring the space to an end. Barbara, you could start.
Very much for this space. I believe that we have, and thanks for the speakers for sharing their experiences and suggestions. I learned a lot, and there are some suggestions I personally will be taking to use in my personal life. I've always had difficulties asking, even though I know that's very important, but like I've always done things on my own. So sometimes I forget that when I need help, I need to ask. So this space has reminded me again, and I'll be doing more of that in the coming weeks. Thanks for everybody who joined to listen. We hope that you learned a lot. And it's always not about listening, it's always about practicing. So you can listen as much as you want, but you need to take the step if you want to go to Canada, if you want to go to Europe. Like, let this space be like a motivation for you to start the process. You may be scared, but do it scared, because once you don't venture it, you never get it. And hopefully, maybe in our next session, we will see you on here as speakers sharing your experience and how this space inspired you to take an action. And thank you. And thank you, everyone, once again, for inviting me.
Thank you for accepting my invitation. Selassie.
Thank you, Red One. I just want to say, like we have continually emphasized throughout the space, seek help. Find, look for help as you are getting through the application process. Ask for help. Look for resources available online, and also reach out to people who've actually gone through the process. And then once you transition to your country of choice, also look for help around you. Get help with classes, things that you may be struggling with. It doesn't make you a bad student. It doesn't mean you don't belong there. It's only it's one way of actually guaranteeing your success. So that's all I want to buttress at the end of this space. And I really appreciate everyone listening, and look forward to further projects with Ridwan. And yeah, have a good evening, good afternoon, or good night, depending on where you are. Thank you.
Thank you. My late co-host is now here. Professor Nitivafa is now here. Prof, do you want to say something after everything? All right, Kekeli, go ahead.
I'll say my closing remarks is that as all the speakers have reiterated, always ask for help. You won't lose anything from it. Your self-esteem won't die if you ask for help. And take advantage of the resources out there. Watch a lot of YouTube videos. Or at this moment, social media should be your tool. Your social media should work for you. I would say that I was fortunate to get into Canada smoothly, but now it's become much more competitive. So you need the extra tools to make you stand out. And one thing I would buttress again is that once you get the opportunity to come to either Canada or to Europe, take advantage of the networking scene, and especially with the people that you work with. Create friendships, create new social circles. The people who you work with in the lab are the same people who will connect you to your next job. And that's what I have seen here. Even though that indeed coming to Canada, I won't say people have done this thing of painting it as it being all rosy, and I'll say that yes. When you come here, your path to being a citizen or whatever is short, but it's not as rosy as they paint. You need the help, you need the connect. So once you get that opportunity, networking should be your prime and utmost take once you leave the school. So that will be my 2 cents. And thank you so much, Ridwan, for this opportunity. I learned so much from the speakers, and yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for accepting to speak, Kweku.
Sure. My last words will not be straightforward to the point of what we've been discussing, but it's actually really applicable. Two things. First of all, I would advise everyone on this platform, especially the young ones who are listening now, don't do anything with a short-term view. Don't take decisions because of the short-term gains that you're going to get from them. Always take a long-term view. In the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, what is going to be the impact of this decision that I'm taking? Number two, not all of you will get a chance to study for your graduate program in an English-speaking country. the program that best fits your needs may not be offered in an English-speaking country. What is the implication? Learn another language apart from English and your local language in Ghana. French, German, Spanish, to some extent even Chinese now. But learn another language. It will open doors for you. Let me give a simple example. If you look at all multilateral organizations operating in Africa, the AU, ECOWAS, ECA, UN, all the UN bodies, a good number of the people who work there are the French Africans. Why? Because they have English, their local language, and French, plus maybe another language. You guys would agree with me. Almost every Ghanaian or Nigerian speaks English and their local language only. Learn another language and take a long-term perspective in your decisions. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the evening and all the best.
Learn another language and whatever he said, I've forgotten.
Take a long-term perspective when you're making
perspective. Thank you very much. Very, very happy you all joined. I try to keep my spaces once every 2 weeks, so it's a bi-monthly space. When I have more time, I would make it more frequent. Keep an eye on my timeline and try and follow the speakers. Contact them in a nice way, and I believe they are going to help you. For all those who have sent me DMs, I promise you I'm going to respond to each one of you. Have a good day, have a good evening, wherever you are. If it's in the morning, have a good morning, and see you.